I guess we are live now. Yes, so we are live. Uh, Welcome to the first session of getting started with cloud. And let me just change myself. Let me place it me on the top. Let me make myself a little small. Okay. Yeah. So welcome everyone to getting started with cloud. So today I will be discussing if you are a beginner into cloud, how you can deep dive your journey inside learning cloud and things related to cloud. What are the services that popular cloud providers provide, like AWS, Google Cloud? How projects utilize these things? How startups are adapting to cloud technologies? What was the history behind it, and why is it so simple to just uh, delegate everything to the cloud? Let's begin. Uh, first fundamental First fundamental question that we get is what is cloud computing? So the thing about cloud computing is it is essentially someone else's computer that you seek for rent. So imagine you have a friend and you have an assignment to do, and you are lending your friend's laptop to accomplish that task. So, and on similar terms, the cloud computing also is. So there are some companies that have infrastructure set up. They have large data servers, and they have everything already set up, and they are just uh, providing it to you via a website or web application, and then you have to just go through pay as you go plans are there. You have to just pay them, and they will take care of everything else. So what all next you have to do is just give me a moment. Yeah, so what all else cloud provides? Let's see what are the services that cloud provides. So it provides storage. One of the biggest examples of storage is imagine you have uh, Instagram, you store photos over there. You have uh, Google Photos, you store images over there. You have YouTube, the biggest data centers of our times. Then these are all already in a cloud environment, and they are just showcasing them through a UI, like a website or a web application. So storage, large data sets are stored in large data centers of such companies. You have CPU, you can also have some CPU power. You can rent a virtual machine, and then you can configure your CPU as you go. You can have 16 core CPU, 30 core CPU, like that. You have RAM. You, as discussed above, CPU, storage, RAM, all comes under the same thing. You can also deploy your things on cloud. For example, you have a static website, like an HTML page that you just created while learning it during when you are sophomore. Then you want to deploy it somewhere so that you can let your friends and teachers see that. So you can use deployment. You can rent a private server and configure it and just deploy your HTML onto that so that everybody can see that. You can have private servers for your company. For example, you are working in a company, but you want to rent a server that is just restricted to your company people only. Then you can have a private server. AWS provides that, GCP provides that. Hosting, as I discussed, deployment, you can also have hosting services. You can add custom domain names to your web application. So these are all the services that the cloud provides. Now, what are the applications of cloud? Let's discuss them. And before discussing applications, let me invite you to one of my guests, one of my friends from my university. His name is Manas Malla. Let me have him to introduce your. Let me have him to introduce. Yeah. Hello,
Hi
Manas.
guys. Hi man. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm very fine, man. So we are discussing about cloud computing, and I just,
Feeling in the cloud, right?
yeah, man, I'm feeling the cloud, volcano, everything. So
Man, we need to
what I,
see cloud
what
nine,
I,
man. I need the energy. I need the juice. I need something in the chat.
yes,
Everyone, come on, put in something in the chat. We need to know how many of you are hearing to us today.
yeah. I just discussed about what are cloud computing, what is cloud computing, what are the services it provides, and before discussing applications, I just wanted to let's imagine you. I am asking posing this question to you. Give me any
Mhm.
two applications that you think cloud provides in general.
The reason why we're able to live stream this today, I guess that's running on the cloud. Uh,
Yes, yes,
and then for us to chat with each other on top of WhatsApp, the planning that we did for the session, I think that's also a piece of cloud.
yeah.
Cloud could be used anywhere, from your movie ticket booking to your exams that you write. I know they're boring, but yeah, the exams that you, quizzes that you write online, all of those would be on cloud. Yeah, and my man seems to like to be mute.
Yeah, just one second. I guess
Mhm.
I have to change my audio settings.
Yeah, no, it's fine, I believe. But yeah,
Yes, yeah. Sorry about that. So I have, made this presentation. Let's see what else I included. So I included Google Drive. I thought this was one of the applications of cloud. And if you don't know, guys, Manas has taken 2 TB subscription of Google One storage. So he has a lot of storage. Yeah,
man, that is
he,
very less, man. I've already used up 400 of that.
damn, my man
Yeah.
needs petabytes of storage to begin with. Yeah. So next thing is, yeah, obviously lead code. Although lead code has already so many problems, but the architecture of lead code relies heavily on the compute power. For example, whenever I try to submit a code, it actually runs a simplified Docker container kind of thing. I'm assuming that because they didn't reveal anything, but I'm assuming, I'm just reverse engineering the stuff. They may have a lightweight Docker container running, try to run that code, do some test cases on it, and then
Mhm.
they are actually doing, retrieving the answers whether your solution is right or wrong, and then destroying the container and everything. So lead code actually
Man,
heavily
that's
on this.
I मैं उससे कनेक्ट कर नहीं पा रहा सर ये डॉकर क्या है सर आप क्लाउड से
Acha, हाँ,
डॉकर तक चले गए
very good
what is
question.
docker man yeah
Our
we started with
viewers
cloud and we're
may,
docker
yes, our
man I
viewers may
itself
not know
don't
what is.
understand what is docker man.
Exactly. Okay. Docker is a lightweight abstraction tool that
Mhm.
containerizes everything of your application code. Like for example, you have
Can we speak in
oh you have
english
you, yes, you have a folder. You have a folder where you have 2 3 files. So one
Mhm.
thing you can do is you can give all your files to your friend one by one, or tell him manually to install everything, like what all the files ऐसे download कर लेना, ऐसे download करने का. Instead, just give him one command of your terminal, and then he will actually install everything by itself. You just make a zip file, compress zip file to it, upload it to some registry, and you can just download it in a click of a button. Again, I think that's what one of the
so
simplified versions of
if
Docker
I
is.
have to out people with the way that I understood it it's like you one hard-working person goes and writes in a lengthy notebook of all of the information for a particular subject when you're studying. You're basically, especially when you're in your BTech. Uh, but I hardly even know. Yeah, yeah. That's the Giga Chat version of that. Shortcut. But yeah, so if I understand, it's like you one person writes a lot of notes, and then people just before the exam take his notes and then take xerox copies of it and read from it. So they're able to utilize the notes even without writing it out. Could I understood something like that?
Yeah, essentially, that's one of the good, applications that you do. Bro didn't have it. Okay, yeah, but I'll show this also. We are just trying out features. Yo, okay. Moving forward, Instagram. Yeah, Instagram is one of the things that relies heavily on cloud because it has so many users onto it. Mostly around 500 million people use it. Reels being uploaded over there, posts uploaded over there, contents being read by people heavily on cloud. We have YouTube.
Mhm.
YouTube is the biggest example of cloud, although it's like a private because Google only has employed everything for Google, so it's like a private cloud. Now,
Yeah, man.
what?
Okay, yeah. Before we go
Yeah,
into all of this as well, I guess
sure.
our audience would have a real major question. I'm not sure if it was answered or not, but I still have this. thing in mind. Like people go crazy about cloud. We all understand the demand that cloud still has. People just say cloud engineer has this much package, cloud engineer has that much package. But I really wanted to know, like, man, does a do you write any amount of code in the cloud, or like what happens in the cloud? Like what is the cloud? Like, see, I know one definition of cloud, that is condensed water vapor. That's what I learned in my fifth grade, man, literally. But now I need you to help me understand what's the cloud on the computer. Like I wouldn't want to go and condense water in my CPU, right? I've tried it once and it was very fatal, so I'm not going to try it again. So I really need you to
Yes.
throw some light on it.
So essentially, cloud is like someone else's computer that you are utilizing, you are renting it. He is given you on rent. You just pay them, and they will take care of everything, like maintaining the server, in show you, yeah, like seeing if it is working all right or not, maintaining it, and upgrading it if you need. If there are multiple users coming in and off, scaling it automatically. So these are all the you know uh, things that cloud provides, and they charge you money for it. You can actually, what you can do is, you can actually made your own hardware, like rent,
Hmm.
like buy a physical machine, like a
Hmm.
CPU, like how we used to in olden days, like 15 years ago, how we used to set up real time desktop things like PC building. So that's
Hmm.
that essentially you can do actually. But then you have to take care of scaling your application, adding more hard drives, adding more RAM, compute power. These all the things are being done by the cloud. And as you said, that why we are actually learning cloud, because I'll come to that in the slides. I have actually posted it. But to briefly tell about it, uh, it is that most companies are using it, most startups are using it. Startups use it because they have a very burning idea, they need to test it out, they need to launch an MVP as soon as possible. You have been a part of a startup, so you know how the things work quickly. And possibly the big tech
Yeah.
obviously is very different from a startup point of view. But the startup wants to launch an MVP, raise fundings, do many things. So if they are actually indulged in all the doing of scaling and doing everything to you, then it will be like a very hectic task. So they usually rely on cloud providers. I would answer
So
that. And yes,
would you mind,
yes,
like, can I share my laptop with you and would you pay for my resources? I'll give you my MacBook, man. It's an M2. Would you
damn.
pay for using my M2? You're on an Air,
This
I'm on
is,
a Pro. So would you mind
yeah,
paying me for using my resources?
because you are my friend. That's why I may not. But for example, I was like utilizing your RAM instead. Like you have 16 GB limit, but you still use around 24 gigabytes I'm using, for example. Then you will say, man,
So with you
I
would need to pay at
just,
least 100 to
yeah.
200
And
bucks. 300 is not possible.
yeah, for people who don't know, Mr. Shobit is full stack engineer currently working at Bangalore, and my man uses Arch Linux, so he doesn't come to this Mac OS kinds of thing. Mac OS, Windows, yeah. NeoVim user, by the way, he is. By the way, so like let's move forward. Let's see
Yeah.
who are the popular providers. Obviously,
Mhm.
if you are here, then you will know who are the popular providers. AWS, AWS, everywhere. AWS. One of the most, yeah, one of the pioneers of cloud computing came in around 2005, where they launched their first service EC2 instance, as well as S3. So S3 is like a object store, like you can store images, JSON files, kind of things, objects you can store, not heavy duty, MP4 files. Then EC2 is like a computer, as Manas mentioned, that when you have a computer with you, like as he told, he has a MacBook, then he can rent it to me. He said that. So EC2 is just like kind of thing. But yeah, I'm just abstracting away so many things. Google Cloud, uh, one of the things that, yes, Manas uses Google Cloud. Also he has also like many badges from Google Digital Cloud Leader. Then we have Azure, the second most popular one, having the next market share. Quite good popular providers. Now let's discuss the next thing, that why should you learning? As Manas also mentioned that you have talking about cloud computing and everything, but why is there a requirement to need the cloud? Why are you blabbering about it? Why are you doing a live stream about it? And so yeah, so companies use it, so that therefore, if companies are using it, then they need developers. They need developers who are able to get comfortable with cloud, maintain their things, do with it, scale the servers, do all kinds of stuff. your projects, obviously, when you are building projects, you also required cloud resources. Like, I don't know much students who actually buy their own server, attach a VPC configuration, buy their own IP address, attach their NAC certification. Oh my God. No, man, nobody uses. Just many people just rely on cloud services for your projects. When you want to showcase your projects, you obviously deploy it to one of the providers and then you showcase it to your interviewer. It's a growing field. In the past 10 years, it has grown a lot, and as we speak, many companies are actually pioneering in this field. They are actually improving their machines. They're improving their latency levels. Like, all the things are going in a positive direction. And with the
Then why are we
influx of
still
AI also,
talking cloud?
what what?
Why are we still sitting and talking cloud? Companies are growing cloud, man, and then we are sitting and talking about cloud. Why? Let's go and do that. So no,
Okay, just
let's
as I
go
discussed
and
in the
write some
first
real code.
point. Yeah, just as I discussed in the like first thing, if I join a company as a cloud engineer, then I need the knowledge of the existing cloud infrastructure and how I am doing it. So yeah, that's why
Cool.
actually we are learning. But obviously, coding cannot be replaced by cloud, because if you have an idea, to build that idea, you need some coding knowledge, man. I mean, nowadays people are relying on AI, but at least after a certain point, LLMs won't help you. And we both know that thing because we have tried out many crazy things with AI and LLMs. So we know that for a fact. So, learning these things, no code, as well as learning cloud concepts, how it works is generally a good idea. So that whenever you encounter a situation, you won't be like dumbstruck with the thing. Now, startups, as I already mentioned, startups adapt to cloud very quickly. And yeah, this is a little bit different thing. Let me first, sorry, yeah. If you can see, improves networking concepts. I just added this point. What I may mean by this is, recently there was a little discussion going on with how people are deploying Next.js and how it is becoming little expensive because Vercel usually binds people to Next.js. So there, many people, many developers said that you have to like try to host it on your VPC using any other cloud provider. And this requires a little bit good understanding of networking, how networking works. Like, one of like Manas is my friend. He actually knows a lot about networking, how packets are being transferred, how HTTP actually is written. Like, we actually discuss a lot of things about this stuff. We don't like blindly go to deploy vessel, create npx, create next step, yeah, deploy vessel, yeah. So if you do that kind of thing soon, when if your project goes viral or you're doing some more advanced stuff, like you are wanting to add WebSocket connection, doing all sorts of edge things, then you eventually have to move out of Vercel. You have to do your own hosting. Like Manas had, for a project, he had done Firebase hosting, so he knew how to actually configure everything. I didn't know it, so he was able to adapt quickly. So uh, learning cloud actually improves your networking concepts, and learning computer networks we already have in our syllabus, but it's actually very very good if you have a good grip on networking. Exams and certifications. Let me just have a quick go through there. AWS has a good certification program where they provide 11 or so certifications. One of them, most popular, are practitioner, architect, and machine learning. Also, experts are there certification. Google Cloud is also there, digital cloud leader for Google, and fundamentals of Azure is one of the things. So yeah, this was about an overview of cloud. Any final words that Manas wants to share? I will leave the stage to you.
Sure, man. But I don't want you to leave the stage. I want you to be on stage. Like, see,
Yeah.
until now, this was all fine, man. We had a presentation. You were a great professor. Yes, Giga chats understand it really well. But now let's go and dive deep. I believe cloud is like, I don't understand this, man, but it's like always, I feel like I understand cloud. And then when I go to try to do something, I feel like I don't know what to do. So let's have a fun conversation between the both of us for the next 10 minutes. Try to understand how cloud, like what cloud is, why don't we as students use cloud? Like, why don't I have a cloud internship, or why don't I like just go and create a virtual machine and do something crazy? Like, why? Like, it would be really like some hacker wala stuff if I write some terminal commands, hack some computer, do all this crazy stuff. So why aren't we doing it? So let's just have a wonderful conversation. I'm fine with any three of the languages, so you can speak in Hindi, English, and Telugu. I think most of our audience comes from Telugu background, so I think we should be fine with anything. So
When
yeah,
you said languages, you won't believe the first thing that came to my mind was, okay, this guy is talking about Java, C++, as well as Python. The first thing that
yeah,
came to
yeah,
mind.
yeah,
Then
yeah.
you again told,
For people
oh
who
yeah,
sit
this guy
and
is
write
telling.
lead code every time, they get this kind
Yes,
of stuff. But you are not a person who just writes lead code. You are a person who writes in Rust. So
oh yeah,
welcome,
Rust.
Mr.
Yeah, yeah.
Rustation. Yes.
Yeah. So
So we
to
will.
start with the question, like
Let's
why
not again go
we
to Rust.
won't, like why won't we actually, yeah. So
Like
like why
maybe
won't we
let's not
actually
even
use it
start from
for?
there. Let's try to think and try to figure out like man, why do you like let's start from the networking things because as you said networking like computer networks really helps you, so let's dig in a little bit into that and then like let's understand as like how does all of this work అంటే see ఇప్పుడు నువ్వు వెళ్ళి ఒక వెబ్సైట్ రాస్తావు so let's say like Siddharth guy is a very great person in front end guys he
Hmm.
writes stuff in Rust for backends, so I'm not going to go to that level, but yeah, let's say I'm a, like let's say I have very beginner level HTML, CSS, JavaScript developer, or let's say I just only know HTML. So if I go and write a HTML page, man, how do I open a HTML page? Could you just throw some light on that? Any light
How
on
do you
that,
open
if
HTML
possible?
page? So you
Hmm.
create an HTML page on your desktop, you copy the path, you try to access
Hmm.
that on your browser. The browser renders the HTML, it has a parser built into it. So if you're using Chrome, you have a V8 engine that sees the extension is .html. So it analyzes what are the elements on the DOM and then renders it on the screen. So that's how HTML probably actually works. So you're accessing the file
Hmm.
path. So that kind of like if you're opening an image, you just right click on it, open with a particular software. So just like that, you're opening
So,
HTML with the particular software known as the browser.
so guys who are listening to this live stream, I really want to know how many of you have actually ventured with React, some kind of reactive framework. It could be Next.js or yeah, this person is the first person to raise his hand. So that's it. I know that, but yeah, I would want to hear from the
Did I
others. How
raise
many
my
of us
hand?
have some yeah, like I assumed that you did. I dreamed of that you did it because I already know that you write React very well. This guy goes into React DOM and stuff, and then he says that he doesn't know React. It's a big joke. So I would want to know from the audience how many of you feel have at least touched React or know what is React. Let's take in a minute. I want something in the comments. Even a thumbs up emoji on your YouTube chat should work. Okay. I'm getting some over here. So with that, I'll just take it forward. So Siddharth, could you just let me know about what actually happens? Like when you run a React project, what's the URL that you get? Like, is it the same thing that it happens when you open a HTML page, or is it something quite different?
Yeah. So when you're running a React project, what
Hmm.
happens is you run a script known as npm rundev. What it does
Hmm.
is it converts your one second. It converts your JSX files to the dist folder, and the
Hmm.
dist folder essentially contains HTML as well as the bundled JavaScript. So what essentially happens is it actually exposes itself, the HTML index HTML exposes itself on a port. So port is like a location on your computer, a virtual location on the computer, as I say. So there we are accessing that index.html. So that's essentially what a port is. It looks very different because if you just have a HTML page, you just copy that path, or if you're using VS Code, you have a live server option. So it actually runs on 127.0.1 slash index.html kind of thing. But in React, what is happening is it's actually essentially tapping onto a port. And from this also, one second.
Hmm.
From this also, I actually remember one thing. As we are actually going to the networking stuff, the same thing that you actually do on your computer in a development environment while you are building a project and you are trying to access your website, you have to imagine that you're actually mimicking the same behavior on a virtual machine. You're doing
Hmm.
the same steps over there such that that thing is publicly accessible to everyone. That's what deployment also refers to. Like you want to let users use your application, but your application is in your computer, and you are doing, accessing it through localhost 3000, or
Man,
you're just
I don't
using.
think we're talking
Yeah,
English right now for many people.
yeah, no
It
problem.
went, it went too technical.
We don't need to actually cater to some kind of beginner audience also. We can also like cater to advanced audience. Let's like not think that only beginners would watch it, but just have a general conversation. Like they will also learn some advanced concepts by our conversation, pick up some words from it. Okay, what is this guy
Mhm,
speaking, man? Let's search it over there. So
mhm,
I was just thinking like that. So
mhm,
you know whatever you are doing on your PC or computer, I'm trying to mimic it onto the same computer, but it is
mhm,
located somewhere else, such
mhm,
that it is we are accessing it through a network internet,
mhm.
for that fact, such that
Got
my
it.
product or my web application, my thing is available to everyone across the planet through something known as optical fibers or internet. It is publicly accessible. So that's what cloud enables. And cloud is exactly similar to having your own machine and you configuring everything, but cloud makes it easier.
So, you were referring to this term called virtual machine. So, I'll try to help out with something. Just let me know if I'm right or wrong. So the way that I understand virtual machine is, let's say, Siddharth sir, he has received some, let's say, a lot of amount money. Let's say he has received 3 crores, so he went and he bought this super crazy computer with a gigachad amount of RAM, the lot of hard disk space, and then he soon realizes that, man, I don't need to use all of this, and then he suddenly starts to see that I want to share it. But I don't think Siddharth sir is such a great person who is going to cut it like a birthday cake. Like previously, last Sunday it was his birthday. He was having this birthday vibes all along. So I don't think he's going to cut his cake, like his computer like a cake, and then say that, man, this part is yours, this part is yours. So he cannot share his resources like that. So probably what he is going to be doing is he's going to create specific user groups inside of his computer so that other people could use each one of those. Like say, let's say there's a folder in his computer. He gives you only access to that Google Drive folder kind of thing. He does not have access to that, nor I have access to his folders. I just have access to a folder which is on his device. So I go and use that, put whatever I want. I can use how much ever of RAM that he gives me. Like he has to assign me, like Manas cannot use more than 3 GB of RAM, 5 GB of RAM. And then I pay for using that 5 GB of
Hmm.
RAM in his 24 or 100 GB RAM computer. So I think I understand a virtual machine, like how, when you say cloud providers provide you like a virtual machine, I understand like this Google guy is lot of rich. He goes and he buys a
Yes.
humongous computer that he stores in the middle of the
Yes.
ocean. I don't know why does he put it in an ocean, but he puts it in an ocean. Maybe because people do not have space to even live, so he felt very bad. Putting so much
Free
place for a
cooling,
computer
sir.
is not a very heavy cooling, yeah. So probably he's going to do something like that. And then he's going to just give us a part of his computer for some amount of time by something called as a virtual machine. So this virtual machine concept is like dividing your computer into smaller parts like fractions. Young fifth grade mathematics is just going to divide it up virtually and give us each a
Yeah,
specific
yeah,
machine. So it's like a virtual,
exactly.
like an imaginary machine out of a larger machine. So you're going to give me some of that. I can go and access that. How do I access that? You put a lot of cables. I get internet.
Yeah,
You give me some random number. Man, how many digits was this IP address? Like, yeah, I think it's like three, and I think it's totally 12 digits. Four threes. Yes, I think yeah, it's a IP address is a
mm,
12-digit number. So you give me a cool, crazy passcode kind of thing to unlock my computer instead of your computer, and that is your basically your password and your IP address. I access my computer using my IP address. I have a password to it. I can go and use it. So I think maybe that is where all of this
yeah,
storage is put in. My files are put in. So when I want to host a website, I store it in that computer. People, because I cannot remember crazy passcodes, I remember some way to remember them, like how we remembered chemistry. Yeah, sadly. So we go and do that, and I think that's what's DNS, storage,
yeah,
cloud, and then because I am not that much rich enough, I'm not able to create my own cloud provider. I need to go to someone, say that, man, can you please lend me your PC, and then I do it. I think that's how I basically understand what's cloud. And then maybe people
yeah.
will get too scared if they see me up
You have
close.
actually summarized all of the things discussed already in this section. So,
Mhm,
yeah, if you know operating systems a little bit, you know how virtualization works. Like the
mhm,
operating system, is trying to actually mimic this virtualization. Means For example, there are two C programs in your computer, main.c file and as sample.c file. They both are running at the same time, and they are accessing the memory at the same time. The memory at the same time. This happens through virtualization. That is the basics of virtualization, where the CPU is actually allocating resources. It is also known as sharing of the memory. I may be a little bit wrong, but the concept is exactly similar as when we talk about cloud. So,
Mhm.
in the interest of time, I would just like to open the podium for the Q&A from the people. We have actually talked for 30 minutes on cloud and have a fantastic discussion. If there are people in the chat, I would just ask them to post any doubts that they have, or any things they want to add, or they want to, push the discussion further. We
Share.
have 3 more minutes that we can push the discussion forward. Me and Manas both would love to talk to you and chat with you. This forum is just for discussing with people. So if you have anything to share, any doubt you have, anything you didn't understand, anything of that sort, you can actually post them in comments. Just type it out, whatever your mind says. Uh, yeah, we won't ban you from anything. Yeah, it's a free speech thing. Please, but just don't be abusive. Yeah. If there are any things, we can actually go ahead, or else we can just end it now. We have 5 people
Man,
that are
once,
watching. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, let's them type their
From
view from
personal,
personal
oh, okay.
experience.
One question, man. I'm taking it. From
Mm.
personal experience, please check the timeout limit on all providers depending on your application. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. I didn't understand what is the timeout limit on all providers. Like, if I'm using AWS, by the way, I need a lot of money. Just okay. Check the timeout
Man,
limit.
he manages a lot of stuff for you, man. And then if you say that I want to go into AWS as an engineer, I want this much salary,
Oh,
who is going to pay you that
yeah.
salary, man? You have to pay him, right?
Some person, please check the timeout.
So
Timeout
I
limit.
basically believe when Shobit means timeout limit, I think every provider has like in it, like when we talk in terms of cloud and DevOps, I think it would have some amount of downtime or how much time that can
Okay,
be upping it up.
yeah.
So I
Yeah,
think he
I
means
think
like that.
AWS has an excellent. They have like 5 nines after the decimal. AW like okay, people didn't understand that. Let me tell you. So the downtime which Manas suggests, what on in a year, in a calendar year, how many times or how many seconds, how many days, hours, time limit will the servers may not be up. So yeah, one of the perfect explanations given by it. Any process you are running, if it exceeds the time limit divided by the provider, it shuts off the process. So if you did a backend call on it, yeah, it will abort the call. Yeah, excellent. So that's what I was also saying. And apart from this, also, many cloud providers actually say that we have 99.999% of uptime in a year. That means they will have in a year around 20 minutes of the year. They won't guarantee you that. So that's also one thing to look at. And this time limit defined by the
Mhm.
provider is like a cool thing which I'm learning new.
Yeah.
I think if a backend is hosted on a cloud provider, I think, oh, okay, there will be some time limit provider. Okay, there is also one thing uh, which is known as cold start. So very quickly, I will just give it a 30-second explanation. When you have a server running, if it's not being polled by many of the users of your users, nobody's using it. So usually cloud providers shut it down. But when a new user again starts to come, when the traffic again starts to come, it takes time to actually start the server and make it running. So usually we developers make a fake dummy call to the server uh, on regular intervals such that it stays warm. Warm means it is active and running. That was one thing that I wanted to share. Yeah, I believe that if we were you to use cloud function, yeah, cloud functions,
So I think that API
yeah,
call limit, time limit would be on the cloud function. However, because the virtual
yeah.
machine, I
I
think it
think
would
he was
run
talking about
throughout.
custom backend being deployed and the service. GCP has okay, damn.
Yeah,
GCP has the highest
GCP is
timeout limit, I think.
ah,
GCP is crazy,
finally
man.
a GCP fan. Yeah,
But yeah,
finally a GCP fan.
yellow, yellow color AWS, man. That's thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other comments? questions that people have? I guess we have. Okay.
Like the reason, man, I really love GCP is because it is, see, that day when we were discussing for our essays, right? We were doing the calculations.
Yeah, yeah,
And then, man, it was crazy. Like, we were having 4 crore operations a day. And then we tried to do out the math. I had to check my math 4 times
yeah.
if
It
I'm right.
was.
It's literally like
Yeah, it was.
40,000 a year.
Yeah, it is.
That's very cheap.
It was quite concise, and they have actually provided everything neatly. Like this is
Yeah.
what you
It's,
pay.
it's,
This is how
it's
much
very
goes.
good to try out when you're trying to dive
Yeah,
into web, I get, like cloud and stuff.
exactly. Yeah.
But I don't suggest anyone
So
to go and try out Google Cloud, please. That is
yeah,
that is for organizations. Like, yeah, just as a quick notice for people, just
disclaimer.
because yeah, a quick disclaimer. Just because you have tuned into the session where we are talking about cloud, how cloud is beneficial, how cloud is great, do not think that tomorrow I'll go to Google Cloud, create an instance, push and stuff, because there's a lot of math that is going to be involved behind it. A cloud architect does a lot of job. So it's not that easy, and the cloud really shines where you're working in an organization that is having its own business policies, business needs, like entrepreneurship
Yeah,
and uh, cloud have a lot
like
common in
many
together.
other.
They work hand in hand.
Correct, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think as a student, I think it's not recommendable to play around with cloud because we don't have that much of a requirement. Like it's like if I ask you where's your nose, you just come and you put your nose like this. It's like too heavy. It's like an overkill situation. And then my man
that's
Siddharth
why we
goes and
have.
talks
Yeah,
about Docker and Kubernetes,
yeah,
and it's like a total overkill. Probably something
yeah.
as if you would want to try out cloud, get a taste
Versal,
of it, I would suggest something like Vercel, Firebase. These are all
Netlify.
great tools to try it
Yeah,
out. Yeah, Netlify, Supabase. These are all great software as a service. I'm just throwing out some terms. Software as a service, SaaS.
yeah,
These are some tools that you could use. So go and check out SaaS. These are some things that you could
yeah.
actually go out and try out in the cloud. So yeah, that's a quick disclaimer. Else you're going to get a 3 crore
And
bill, man. I'm warning you.
yeah,
I once got a 3
and
crore bill from Google Cloud.
mm, yes, and for starters, you may have good understanding of the cloud providers. It is recommended, but if you are a beginner, you can actually start with uh, Netlify, Vercel, or some other providers that don't charge you at minimal scale. They charge you when you hit the scale. Like Vercel charges you after you hit a certain point using serverless things and etc. So I guess we'll end the stream soon because we have crossed the limit. I wanted to have a 30-minute talk, but yeah, it's no problem. So thank you guys for tuning into it. Thank you, Manasmala, for coming into my show. I should name it as a show, man. And thank you for all the viewers who sat and watched the stream. Thank you, Shobit Nagpal, one of our seniors from my university, and Kavya, then Nilanjana. Thank you for everyone who have all joined the stream. I'm grateful for you. Let's have a discussion somewhere around next week or so when we are free. Maybe on cloud, maybe on web, maybe on full stack, maybe on DevOps, etc. So this is your host, Siddharth. We'll go soon. Okay, Manasa, our friend is also here. Okay, so I end the stream. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good day. Peace out.